I never thought I'd be the type of person to hold a grudge, especially against my own husband. But here I am, 3 months into what I can only describe as the coldest war our marriage has ever seen. I'm Lisa, 32 years old, and I work as a dental hygienist at a private practice in Boston. Mark and I have been married for 4 years. He's 38, works as a financial advisor, and until recently, I thought we had a pretty solid thing going. That was before I discovered he'd been hiding a pretty massive gambling debt from me. Not like casino gambling or anything that dramatic, he'd been day trading with our savings, convinced he could multiply our money for a down payment on a house. Instead, he lost $47,000. I found out completely by accident when I was looking for some tax documents and came across his separate account statements. The worst part? He'd been doing this for 8 months without telling me. 8 whole months of acting like everything was normal, all while our savings were disappearing into some stupid stock market game he thought he could win. When I confronted him about it, he tried to explain how he thought he could make it back, how he was doing it for us, for our future. But all I could think about was how I'd been picking up extra shifts at work, skipping my morning coffee runs, and cutting back on shopping, thinking we were building towards something. Meanwhile, he was throwing it all away on his phone during lunch breaks. The thing is, Mark isn't a bad guy. He's actually pretty great in most ways, remembers every anniversary, helps around the house without being asked, and has always supported my career choices. But this feels like betrayal on a whole different level. He broke my trust. And now he keeps trying to apologize, sending me these long texts about how sorry he is, bringing home my favorite takeout, even offering to go to financial counseling together. But I just can't. Every time he tries to talk about it, I either leave the room or put my headphones on. When he brings home food, I eat in our bedroom. When he suggested counseling, I told him he's the one who needs help, not me. I know I'm being harsh, but I feel like I have every right to be angry. He gambled away our future home, our security, everything we'd been saving for. My best friend Mari says I'm being too hard on him, that everyone makes mistakes. She keeps reminding me that Mark is trying to make it right. He's taken on consulting work on the weekends, sold his gaming systems, and even put himself on a strict budget. He's trying to rebuild our savings from scratch. But here's what really gets me. He keeps acting like I'm the unreasonable one. Last week, he actually had the nerve to say that my constant punishment is making things worse. Worse? How? How could things be worse than him secretly losing almost $50,000? He said he understands my anger, but that I'm choosing to stay angry instead of working through this together. Maybe he's right about one thing, I am choosing to stay angry. But I feel like I've earned that right. Every time I think about forgiving him, I remember all those nights I picked up extra patience, thinking we were getting closer to our dream house. I think about how he looked me in the eye every day, knowing what he'd done. The tension in our house is getting pretty unbearable. We used to be that couple that would curl up on the couch together every evening, sharing stories about our day. Now we're like two strangers sharing an apartment. He stopped trying to talk to me when I'm around, and I pretend not to notice how tired and defeated he looks. Yesterday, he left a letter on my pillow. I haven't opened it yet. It's sitting in my drawer, and sometimes I catch myself staring at it, wondering what new apology he's written. Part of me wants to read it. But a bigger part feels like opening that letter means giving in, means letting him off the hook for what he did. I can tell he's starting to get frustrated with my silence, with my cold shoulder, the way he sighs when I ignore his attempts at conversation, how his shoulders slump when I pick up my keys and leave without saying where I'm going. But isn't that exactly what he deserves? He kept secrets from me for months. Maybe now he knows how it feels to be shut out. The weird thing is, even though I'm the one giving him the cold shoulder, I'm starting to feel more alone than ever. Our house feels empty in a way it never has before, and sometimes I catch myself wanting to tell him about something funny that happened at work, only to remember that I'm supposed to be angry with him. I finally opened that letter last night. I wish I hadn't, because now I can't stop thinking about what Mark wrote. He didn't just apologize again, he told me he's starting to feel like we're not even married anymore. Like I've checked out completely. The worst part is, I know exactly what he means. Living together, but acting like strangers isn't the only thing that's changed between us. I've been rejecting every attempt he makes to get close to me. When he tries to hug me, I stiffen up. When he reaches for my hand while we're watching TV on the rare occasions I actually stay in the living room, I pull away. I've even started sleeping with my back to his side of the bed. Honestly, most nights one of us ends up on the couch anyway. Last week, he tried to kiss me goodnight like he used to, and I turned my face away. The look in his eyes, I've never seen him look so hurt. He muttered something about how punishment has to end sometime, and slept in the guest room that night, and the next night, and the next. Mark's letter mentioned that he feels like I'm using our lack of intimacy as a weapon. Am I? Maybe. But every time he tries to get close, I just remember those months of lies, and I freeze up. It's like my body is physically rejecting the idea of letting him back in, even though sometimes I miss how things used to be between us. This morning, he tried one last time to talk about it. He said he's done everything he can think of to make things right. He's working extra hours. He's completely transparent with our finances now. He even signed up for gambling addiction counseling, even though he swears he never had a real addiction. He said he understands that I'm hurt, but that I'm turning our marriage into a punishment chamber. And he's starting to wonder if I even want to be married anymore. I told him he was being dramatic. He actually laughed at that, not a happy laugh, but this bitter sound I've never heard from him before. He said I'm the one being dramatic, holding on to this anger like it's my job. Then he said something that really got to me. You know what's worse than losing money, Lisa? Losing your wife while she's still living in your house. I wanted to argue back. But for the first time, I started thinking about how these past few months must look from his side. Yes, he messed up badly with the money. But he's been killing himself trying to fix it. Meanwhile, I've been acting like he cheated on me or something. Every time he reaches out, I shut him down. Every time he tries to rebuild our connection, I build my walls higher. The thing that really hit me was when he pointed out that I post more on my private Instagram stories than I talk to him these days. He's right. I've been sharing little updates about my day, funny things that happen at work, everything I used to share with him first. It's like I'm living my life for an audience of strangers while ghosting my own husband. Last night, I heard him on the phone with his brother in the garage. He was saying he doesn't know how much longer he can handle the silent treatment, the constant rejection. He said he feels like he's living with a roommate who hates him and that maybe he should stay with family for a while until I decide if I even want this marriage anymore. The scary thing is, instead of that idea bothering me like it should, my first thought was about how much easier it would be if he left. No more awkward silences. No more guilty feelings when I ignore his attempts to talk. No more pretending not to notice when he tries to catch my eye across the dinner table. But then I started thinking about what that would really mean. Coming home to an empty house. Not hearing him humming off-key while he makes his morning coffee. Not having his horrible dad jokes to roll my eyes at. Even in these past awful months, there's been a comfort in knowing he's around, even if I've been doing my best to act like he isn't. Mari came over today and noticed I was wearing my AirPods while cleaning the kitchen. She asked if I was listening to anything, and I had to admit I wasn't. I just put them in whenever Mark is home, so he won't try to talk to me. When I said it out loud, I felt pretty childish. Mari just gave me this look and asked, "How long are you going to punish both of you for one mistake?" I know she has a point. The money's gone either way. Being cold and distant isn't going to bring back our savings. But every time I think about letting my guard down, about trying to get back to normal, I remember those 8 months of lies. Then again, now I'm the one acting fake. Pretending I don't hear him. Pretending I don't care. Pretending I don't miss him, even though he's right here. Everything fell apart last night. I mean really fell apart, not just our usual cold shoulder routine. Mark came home late from work. He's been doing that more often lately, probably to avoid me. But this time, he wasn't quiet about it. He walked straight into our bedroom, where I was pretending to read a book, and said, "We need to talk." I did what I always do, reached for my AirPods. But this time, he wasn't having it. He actually took them right out of my hands and said, "No more hiding, Lisa. We're having this conversation whether you want to or not." I tried to leave the room, but he stood in the doorway, not in a scary way, just firm. He said he'd move if I really wanted to leave. but that doing so would just prove everything he was about to say. So I sat back down, arms crossed, waiting for another apology speech. But that's not what I got. Instead, he told me he's done apologizing. I made a terrible mistake with our money. I broke your trust. I've owned that every single day for the past 3 months. I've done everything humanly possible to make it right. Picked up extra work. Gone to counseling. Been completely transparent with every penny I make or spend. But you've done nothing but punish me. And punish us. I tried to interrupt, to remind him how much his secret trading had hurt me, but he wouldn't let me hide behind that excuse again. Yes, I hurt you. I get that. But you're choosing to keep hurting both of us. You're choosing to kill our marriage day by day. The woman I married wouldn't do this. That made me mad. I told him he had no right to talk about the woman he married. He's the one who gambled away our future. But he just looked at me with this tired expression and said, "Our future isn't in a bank account, Lisa. It's in how we treat each other. And right now, you're treating me like someone you despise, not someone you married." Then he really got to me. He pulled out his phone and showed me a spreadsheet. All the extra hours he's worked. All the money he's saved. Everything he's sold. In just 3 months, he's already put back almost $112,000 into our savings. Meanwhile, I've been spending more money than usual on takeout, just to avoid cooking dinner with him. "I'm not asking you to forgive and forget," he said. "I'm asking you to stop actively trying to destroy us, because that's what you're doing. And I can't take it anymore." I tried to turn it back on him, saying something like, "Well, now you know how it feels to have your trust broken." But he just shook his head and said, "No, what you're doing is worse. I made a mistake, trying to build something for us, even though I went about it completely wrong. But you're deliberately trying to tear us down. And you're succeeding." Then he hit me with the real kicker. He said he's been watching me pull away, reject every attempt at connection, actively work to make him feel unwanted in his own home. He said it feels like I'm trying to make him leave, so I can play the victim, the wife abandoned by her gambling husband. But that's not how the story's going to go. He said, "If this marriage ends, it won't be because I gave up. It'll be because you chose your anger over our love. And everyone will know that's what happened." I didn't know what to say to that. For the first time, I couldn't make him the bad guy. He wasn't yelling or being mean, he was just done. Done trying to break through my walls. Done being the only one fighting for us. He slept in the guest room again last night. But this morning was different. Instead of trying to talk to me at breakfast like he usually does, he just made his coffee and left for work early. No attempted goodbye kiss. No asking about my plans for the day. Nothing. I found myself weirdly anxious about it. I've spent months pushing him away, but now that he's actually staying away, it feels wrong. Like when you're swimming and suddenly the bottom drops out from under your feet. The worst part is, I caught myself checking his location on Find My iPhone 3 times today. After months of pretending he doesn't exist, even when he's right in front of me, suddenly I'm worried about where he is when he's gone. He's never checked out like this before. He's always been the one trying to fix things, trying to reach me, trying to save us. Maybe that's what scares me the most. The possibility that I finally succeeded in pushing him away completely. That all my cold shoulders, silent treatments, and rejected affection finally broke something that can't be fixed. It's been 2 weeks since Mark's confrontation, and everything has changed. But not in the way I expected. Instead of things getting better, they've gotten worse, just in a completely different way. Now I'm the one watching him pull away. And it's driving me crazy. He's been coming home later and later from work. At first, I told myself it was just the extra consulting hours he's been putting in to rebuild our savings. But last night, he came home smelling like perfume. When I asked him about it, he just shrugged and said he had a client meeting at a department store. A client meeting? At 8 p.m. The thing is, I can't even say anything about it without looking like a hypocrite. I mean, how can I demand explanations when I've spent months pretending he doesn't exist? But it's eating me up inside. Every time his phone buzzes, I want to grab it and check who's messaging him. Every time he leaves for work, I find myself wondering if he's really going where he says he is. Mari says I'm being paranoid. She insists Mark's not the type to cheat. She reminded me I'm the one who pushed him away. That I'm the one who rejected every attempt he made to fix things. What did you expect? She asked. That he'd just keep trying forever while you treat him like he's invisible? But I can't help it. Last week, I noticed he changed his phone password. He's never done that before. When I casually mentioned it, he just looked at me with this expression I couldn't read and said, "Why does it matter? You haven't spoken more than 10 words to me in months anyway." The worst part is, I still can't bring myself to fix things. Every time I think about apologizing, about admitting that maybe I took things too far, this voice in my head stops me. What if I grovel and he rejects me? What if I finally let my guard down and he tells me it's too late? What if everyone finds out how I've been treating him, and then I turn around and beg for forgiveness like some desperate fool? So instead, I'm stuck in this horrible limbo, watching my husband slip away, but too proud to grab hold. I've started doing little things. Making coffee in the morning before he wakes up. Asking about his day at dinner. But he just gives me these short, polite answers like I'm some acquaintance he's stuck making small talk with. Yesterday, I found a receipt in his jacket pocket while doing laundry. Dinner for 2 at this fancy Italian place downtown. My stomach dropped. But when I worked up the courage to ask about it, he said it was a business dinner with a potential client. The thing is, 3 months ago, I would have believed him without question. Now I'm not sure of anything. I've started checking his credit card statements online. Something I swore I'd never do after what happened with the trading. But I can't help myself. Every charge at a restaurant or store sends my mind spinning with possibilities. Is he meeting someone? Is he buying gifts I don't know about? The irony isn't lost on me. All those months I spent pushing him away, and now I'm obsessing over his every move. I've gone from refusing to look at him to watching his every breath, from rejecting his touch to analyzing every woman's name that shows up in his work calendar. Mari pointed out that I'm acting exactly like those crazy, controlling wives I used to make fun of. But she doesn't understand. How am I supposed to suddenly act normal when everything feels like it's slipping through my fingers? How can I just flip a switch and be loving and trusting when I've spent so long building these walls? Last night, Mark came home with takeout from my favorite place, something he used to do all the time when he was trying to make things right. But this time, he just left it on the counter and went to the guest room. No attempt to eat together. No trying to talk. It felt like a goodbye gesture, and it terrified me. I wanted to follow him, to finally have that conversation we need to have. But what would I even say? Sorry I've been horrible to you. Please don't leave me? How do you admit you've been wrong for so long without looking completely pathetic? How do you ask someone to stay after you've spent months showing them the door? I finally broke last night. Not in the way I expected, though. It wasn't some dramatic confrontation about the late nights or mysterious perfume scents. Instead, it was something so small that finally cracked me. I was doing laundry and found one of Mark's dress shirts in the guest room hamper. It still had his wedding ring in the pocket. He's never taken it off before, not once in 4 years. Not even when he was day trading and lying about it. But there it was. Just sitting in his pocket, like it meant nothing. I stormed into his home office, where he was working late again, holding the ring like it was evidence in a trial. I demanded to know who he was seeing. I started throwing out accusations about all the late nights and changed passwords. I was full-on crazy wife mode. Everything I'd been holding back for weeks just poured out. Mark just sat there, letting me rant. When I finally ran out of steam, he picked up his phone, pulled up his calendar, and started going through every single late meeting from the past month, names, times, places. Everything documented. Then he showed me his email chain with the consulting firm he's been working with. Turns out he wasn't lying about any of it. He really has been working himself to death trying to fix his mistake. The ring, he said quietly, comes off when he showers at the gym after late client meetings. He kept forgetting to put it back on because the person it's supposed to remind me of hasn't existed for months. That hit me like a slap. Here I was, accusing him of cheating. When the truth was, I'd been the one checking out of our marriage long before he ever took that ring off. Then he said something that finally broke through all my walls. You know what's funny, Lisa? I lost our money trying to build a future for us. And you've spent the last 4 months making sure we don't have a future at all. I started to argue, to defend myself like I always do, but he cut me off. I'm moving out next week, he said. Not because I found someone else, but because you decided your pride was worth more than our marriage. I've tried everything to fix my mistake. But you're still making new ones every day. I'd like to say I immediately apologized, that I finally saw the light and begged him to stay. But I didn't. Instead, I did what I've been doing for months. I turned to leave the room. But this time, Mark said something that stopped me in my tracks. You didn't just punish me, Lisa. You punished us. And now, you've got what you wanted. I'm done trying. I'm done apologizing. I'm done watching you pretend I don't exist while checking my location every hour. I'm done being married to someone who'd rather destroy our marriage than admit they might be wrong too. I stood there, hand on the doorknob, feeling my whole world tilt sideways. For the first time, I saw our situation clearly. I'd been so focused on making Mark pay for his mistake that I turned into someone I didn't even recognize, someone cruel, someone small. I never wanted this, I whispered, finally turning back to face him. I couldn't get past the hurt. No, he corrected me. You wouldn't get past it. There's a difference. He was right. I'd been choosing this outcome every single day. With every cold shoulder. Every ignored attempt at reconciliation. Every night I chose anger over healing. I'd been so worried about looking weak if I forgave him that I made us both miserable instead. Is it too late? I asked, my voice barely audible. Mark was quiet for a long time before answering. I don't know, he said finally. But I do know I can't keep trying alone. And I won't stay just because you're suddenly scared of losing me. That's not love. That's possession. And we both deserve better than that. He's still moving out next week. Says we need space to figure out if there's anything left to save. The worst part is, I can't even argue with him about it. He's right. I broke something precious because I was too proud to bend. Too afraid of looking weak to be strong enough to forgive. This morning, I found his wedding ring on my dresser with a note. When you decide if you want to be married more than you want to be right, let me know. Until then, I need to find out who I am without trying to earn back someone who doesn't want to be earned. I'm wearing both our rings now on my necklace. Wondering how I let my pride turn me into someone my husband had to escape. Wondering if it's really too late to become the kind of person who can admit they were wrong. Who can choose love over vindication? Wondering if I finally learned this lesson too late. It's been 2 weeks since Mark moved out. That Cold War I mentioned at the beginning? Turns out that was just the calm before everything fell apart. Now I'm sitting in our too quiet house, wearing his ring next to mine on this chain. Thinking about how I turned his one big mistake into 1,000 little ones of my own. He's staying at his brother's place across town. We text sometimes, mostly about practical things like bills or mail. He's still making payments into our savings account every week, still trying to make things right on his end. Meanwhile, I'm in therapy, trying to figure out why I was so willing to throw away 4 years of marriage just to prove a point. I thought I was punishing him for gambling away our future. Instead, I gambled away our present, betting everything on the idea that he deserved to suffer. Now I'm realizing that marriage isn't about keeping score. Mark lost our money trying to build something. I lost our marriage trying to tear someone down. Mari keeps asking if we're getting divorced. The truth is, I don't know. Mark says he needs time to figure out if there's anything left to save. Says he needs to know I'm changing because I want to be better, not just because I'm scared of losing him. He's right. Fear of loss isn't the same as love. And we both deserve better than that. So here I am. The wife who held on to her grudge until her husband stopped trying to take it from her. Turns out, keeping someone's mistake alive for months doesn't prove you're strong. Sometimes it just proves you never deserved their apologies in the first place. The house keys he left behind are still sitting on the counter. He said he'll come back when I can prove I want a partner more than I want a punching bag. Until then, I'm learning the hard way. That being right doesn't keep you warm at night. And pride makes for pretty lonely company. 3 weeks after Mark moved out, the silence in the house still felt unfamiliar to Lisa. Every morning, she still brewed 2 cups of coffee, though only one was ever touched. The little things that used to annoy her, the off-key humming, the half-finished stories about dull meetings, had become the sounds she missed most. She had learned the hardest lesson of all. Love isn't control. Love isn't punishment. Forgiveness isn't weakness, it's strength. And pride has no place in a relationship built on trust and grace. One rainy afternoon, Lisa finally sat down to write a letter. Not a beg Mark to come back. Not to defend herself. But to tell the truth. To tell him she had been wrong. That she still loved him. That if there was even the smallest chance left, she would use it to learn how to love him better. The letter wasn't desperate, it was honest. It wasn't filled with excuses, it was filled with reflection. It wasn't asking for the past back, it was offering a different future. A few days later, Mark came by to pick up the last of his things. Lisa didn't cry. She didn't plead. She simply placed the letter on the kitchen table, beside the 2 wedding rings she had kept safe in a small wooden box. As he reached for the door, Mark glanced at the letter, his eyes lingering on the rings. He didn't say anything, but the anger was gone. What remained was silence. Not a cold one, but a silence that seemed to soften the air. The real ending? No one knows yet. But for the first time in months, Lisa wasn't afraid anymore. Because she had chosen something stronger than pride. She had chosen truth. And if he was still listening, that truth might just be enough to begin again.